is followed by points that were scored by the same contestant, then the referee will invalidate those points after giving the gamjang. The best of 3 system is composed of 3 rounds of 2 minutes each with a 1 minute rest period in between. What this means is when a contestant has won 2 out of the 3 rounds, then they are the winner of that match. Some things to keep in mind is that 5 gamjangs in 1 round equals the opponent, the winner of that round. Every round starts fresh. Every round starts over at 0 points and 0 gamjangs. So this is key. If one contestant is losing maybe first round, then they can start fresh in the second round. So again, 5 gamjangs in 1 round equals the opponent is the winner of that round. We also have a 12-point gap. 12-point gap is applicable anytime during the round. So when a contestant is leading by 12 points, then that round is over and they would be the winner of that round. 12-point gap is not applied during semifinals or finals rounds. And then lastly, every round must have a winner. So when we reach the end of the round and the score is tied, let's say 5-5, the system has a superiority criteria to choose the winner. So the first criteria for the system to decide the winner when we have a tied round is the total points by turning or spinning kicks. So these are total points scored by a turning or spinning kick to the body or to the head. This does not mean the amount of turning kicks, it's the points scored by the turning or spinning kicks. If we still have a tie after this, then we would go to the next criteria. Let me give you an example. This is what the scoreboard looks like at the end of the round. So for example, you can see that the blue player scored 2 kicks to the body, so 2 and 2 makes it 4. And the red player scored 1 turning kick to the body. So our first criteria is total points by turning or spinning kicks. This means that the winner of this round would be the red player because they scored 1 turning kick and the blue player did not. Here's another example. Here we can see that the blue player scored 1 turning kick to the head, which is 5 points, and the red player scored 1 turning kick to the body, which is 4 points. But they gained that extra point from a gamjan, a penalty from the opponent. That's how they got to 5. So in this case, the winner of this round would be the blue player because they scored 1 turning kick to the head, which is 5 points. If we still have a tie, we go to the next criteria, which is the higher value techniques. So for this one, we are going to look at the higher value techniques after turning kicks. So we had 5 points for turning kicks, we had 4 points for turning kicks to the body. The next one is 3 points to the head. So for higher value techniques, we start with 3 points to the head, followed by 2 points for the body, 1 point for the punch to the body, and gamjang will be the last one. So let's take a look at this example. Here we can see the scores tied 1-1. The blue player scored 1 punch to the body, and the opponent got their point by the gamjang to blue for us. So this means if we look at the criteria of the higher value techniques, the punch has more value. So the winner for this round would be blue. Next one, let's say here, for example, this is scores tied 4-4. We can see that the blue player, Chung, has scored 1 kick to the head and 1 punch point. That's how they got to 4. So 3 for the head, 1 for the punch. And Hong, red player, has scored 2 kicks to the body. So again, higher value technique, we start out with head kick 3, body 2, punch 1. So in this case, the only one that scored a head kick was blue player. So they would be the winner for this round. If If we still have a tie after the first criteria, second criteria, we move on to registered hits. So these are hits that the system has registered that did not become points, meaning that they made contact, but it was not sufficient power for it to become a point. So the system will calculate how many registered hits in that round, and that's how we would break that tie. If they're the same, then we go to the last criteria, which is superiority. So this is a judge's decision. The judges will utilize this criteria to decide and vote who should be the winner. First, they take a look at aggressive match management. Number 2, the greater number of techniques used in that round. More advanced techniques, so the difficulty and the complexity of their techniques. And lastly, better competition manner. Anytime that a referee perceives a contestant to be staggering, so that means the impact of the kick makes them stagger, or it's a strong impact to the head, or there's a kick to the eye, or there's bleeding, or they're knocked down by that kick to the head, then the referee counts. If the score it's not scored by the PSS, meaning by the electronic system, then the referee uses his or her own card to check for video replay to see if this was a permitted technique to a scoring area to be able to proceed. Next, we're going to talk about prohibited acts and penalties. The objectives of having prohibited acts and penalties is to secure the contestant's safety, to ensure fair competition, and to encourage appropriate techniques. As a reminder, any prohibited act is a gum jump given to the contestant. This is declared by the center referee, and any gum jump given is 1 point for the opponent. Like I mentioned, when a contestant reaches 5 gum jumps in one round, then the opponent is the winner of that round. Not the match, just the round. Here we're going to take a look at each one of these prohibited acts in more detail. So starting out with crossing the boundary line. So here you can see that we have our competition area, which is the blue and the yellow, and then the red is the safety area. So when one foot completely crosses the boundary line and touches the mat, that's considered crossing the boundary line. Here's the example. So when one foot completely touches the mat outside of the boundary line, so outside of the yellow. When it touches the red, then that becomes crossing the boundary line. Next one we have is falling down. When any part of the foot other than the sole of the foot touches the mat, this is considered falling down. Another prohibited act here. If both contestants fall as a result of collision, so let's say both players are exchanging techniques, they're engaging in action, and they crash, their bodies crash, or maybe the kicks crash, and they both fall down, the referee will do the wave-off signal, and no gum jump will be given. Also, this is part of our new rules. When a contestant does a turning kick to the body or to the head and it scores points, this is important, turning kick that scores points and then falls down, no gum jump for falling down will be given. This is to encourage more dynamic and exciting techniques. Obviously, it also scores higher points, so it makes the game a lot more exciting. Avoiding or delaying the match, we have a 3-second rule for not fighting. So after 3 seconds of inactivity, let's say both contestants are just waiting, the referee will give the fight signal. After the fight signal is given, if another 3 seconds pass with no activity, then the passive contestant or both will receive a gum jump. Under avoiding or delaying the match, we also have retreating to avoid an attack or to run out the clock, or avoiding by turning the back and then moving away. This is also considered avoiding. A gamjan will also be given when a contestant moves 3 consecutive steps backwards or sideways without technical engagement. This is when the opponent is attacking. So if I move back 1 time and then attack, it's okay. Move back 1, 2 steps and then attack, no problem. It's when you reach that 1, 2, the 3rd step, then that's when it becomes a gamjan. Anytime during the match, if the contestant turns his or her back and runs away, or turns sideways and runs away, or runs backwards, which is backpedaling, the gamjan will be given immediately. Stalling or non-engaging style inactivity, this is also when a gamjan will be given. What we want to see is players are fighting, not delaying the match by running out the clock or just waiting. We want to see that action. Pushing the opponent. Pushing is permitted as a quick impact and then must disengage from the opponent. So pushing must be quick. One quick push and then disengage. What we don't want to see is prolonged or continuous contact. So prolonged means remaining, where you continue to push without releasing. Continuous contact meaning you continue to push. So this would be a gamjan. Quick impact and then release, okay. But if you push, continue, then this is when it becomes a gamjan. Pushing the opponent out of the boundary line is also a gamjan, and pushing the opponent in a way that prevents kicking motion or any normal execution of attacking movement would be a gamjan as well. Here we can see that Hong, red player, is trying to push to create action. But Chong player is also pushing with their body, so they're preventing the red player from creating that space to attack. In this case, the gamjan would be given to Chong, to the blue player, because they are avoiding. They're preventing the opponent from attacking by closing in that distance. So this is not a gamjan for prolonged pushing, this is a gamjan for avoiding, to blue. Grabbing the opponent. Grabbing is any part of the opponent's body, uniform or equipment, or hooking the foot or leg with the arm. This is considered grabbing. If one contestant is grabbing and the opponent is pushing to engage in combat, then the gamjan is given to the contestant who is grabbing. Any animal kicks to the body, so for example the monkey kicks or fish kicks to the body while clinching, are considered grabbing. Contestants should be separated following the referee's fight command in the clinch position, and if they fail to do so within 3 seconds, a gamjan will be given to the passive contestant or to both contestants. So what will happen is when contestants clinch, right away the referee will say, "Fight!" This is the fight command. And then within 3 seconds, they must separate. If at any time during those 3 seconds, one of the contestants is grabbing or holding, meaning they're pinning down with the arms or crossing their arms to the opponent's body, then a gamjan will be given for grabbing. Not after the 3 seconds, right away when we see the grabbing. So again, when players clinch, the referee will say, "Fight!" and players must separate within 3 seconds. After the fight command has been given, if there's grabbing, crossing, or holding down the opponent, then gamjan will be given for grabbing. Lifting the leg to block. So if the opponent's attacking and you lift the leg to block with your leg or with the knee to impede the opponent's kicking attack, this is also a gamjan. Kicking the opponent's leg to impede the opponent's kicking attack. So when the opponent is kicking and you see that kick coming and you kick their leg, then this is also a gamjan. Kick was aiming to below the waist. So if a cut kick is aimed below the PSS level, meaning below the trunk protector without a follow-up attack, then this is a gamjan. So if you lift the leg below the trunk level and put it down and don't do anything else, that's when it's a gamjang. But if you lift it below the trunk level, put it down and attack, maybe with a punch or with a kick or a turning kick, then it's okay. It's not a gamjang. Again, we want to see the action. So you lift it and follow up with an attack, no problem. Lifting the leg above the waist for kicking in the air for 3 times or more. So this is part of our new amended rules. At maximum, 2 kicks can be executed in the air and then the foot must come down. This is regardless if there's contact or no contact, regardless if it's to the body or to the head. So that means when the foot comes off the ground, 1 kick, okay. Again, a second kick, okay, but then the foot must come down. If you lift it, 1, 2, the third kick becomes a gamjang, and if any points scored with that third kick, the points would be invalidated. Sliding, so sliding forward with lifting your leg is okay as long as that lift has an extension. So every slide must have an extension. And because once your foot has come off the ground, at maximum there can be 2. So if you lift it and extend, 1, slide and extend, 2, no problem, but then foot must come down. Next one, lifting a leg or kicking in the air for more than 3 seconds to impede the opponent's potential attacking movements. But now we have the 2 kicks maximum. What this means is when you lift the leg up and you have to kick, you have a maximum 3 seconds from lifting to extend and kick. And at maximum, you can do 2 kicks and then the foot must come down. Kicking below the waist. Any intentional attack below the waist level, meaning below the trunk protector, this is gamjang. If an intentional contact below the waist occurs during an exchange, then no gamjang will be given. So meaning when both players are attacking, they're engaging in technical contact, then if this happens and it's unintentional, no gamjang is given. If a contestant does a double technique, let's say first kick hits below the trunk level, okay, so below the PSS, below the waist level, and the second kick goes higher to the body or to the head and it scores, then the gamjang is given for kicking below the waist and the points that were scored after would be invalidated. Attacking the opponent after a kallyo. So for this one, if the attacking motion started before kallyo, then the attack shall not be penalized. So what we define as kallyo is when the referee has completely, fully extended their arm at the solar plexus level. So when the arm is still bent, here, this is not kallyo, this is not kallyo, not kallyo. It's when the arm is fully extended at the solar plexus level. This is considered kallyo. So what we look for is where the foot placement is at the timing of kallyo. So if the foot left the ground before the completion of the extension of the arm from the referee, then this is not considered attack after kallyo. Even if the kick makes contact after the extension of the arm. What we're looking for is where the foot placement is. Was it on the ground or already off the ground before or after the arm extension? So if we see the center referee's arm fully extended at kallyo position and the foot was still on the ground and then lifted to kick, then this is when it's a gamjang. And of course, if any points scored, they would be invalidated. If the attack did not land on the opponent's body, but it appeared deliberate and malicious, the referee may penalize the behavior with a gamjang. Hitting the opponent's head with the hand. So hitting the opponent's head with the hand, fist, arm, wrist, elbow. So any contact with the arm to the opponent's head, this is a gamjang. Unavoidable contact due to the opponent lowering the head may not be punished. What this means is maybe I'm doing a punch to the body, but my opponent went down, crouched down. So it caused my punch to hit their head. This is not my fault. It's the opponent for going down. So this would not be a gamjan for hitting the opponent to the head. Butting or attacking with the knee, butting the opponent with the head is a gamjan for misconduct. Intentional knee attack in close proximity to the opponent. So when they're close or maybe coming into the clinch position and attacking with the knee, this is a gamjan. No gamjan if the opponent rushes in while contestant is getting ready to kick. So if I am lifting my leg to kick, but at the same time that I'm lifting my knee, the opponent rushes in, this is not a gamjan. This is just part of the exchange. Attacking the fallen opponent. Intentional attack to the fallen opponent, regardless of the degree of the impact. So what we're looking for here is a fallen opponent. What that means is any part of the foot has touched the ground. Okay, so any part outside of the foot. So maybe knee, hand, elbow has touched the ground. This is considered a fallen opponent. The process of falling is okay. So I can attack and kick the opponent if they are falling. But the moment that any other part of the foot other than the foot touches the ground, this is considered fallen opponent. And this is when it would be a gamjan. So one more time. If my opponent is falling, meaning they're in the process of falling, they're going down, falling, I kick and score is no problem. But once they have touched the ground with any part of their body other than the foot, then this is fallen. So if they have fallen and I kick and I attack, then this is a gamjan for attacking the fallen opponent. Of course, any points scored from that also will be invalidated. Attacking the trunk PSS with the side or bottom of the foot in the clinch position. So this is when players are in the clinch and we see the animal kicks. So for example, that monkey kick or the fish kick. Right away, this is a gamjan that will be given for grabbing. And if any points scored, they would be invalidated. Now, we take the same concept and apply this now to attacking the back of the head and attacking the back of the head PSS in the clinch position. So when players are in the clinch, if a player tries to lift their leg behind me and the intent is aiming to kick the back of the head, then that's when it's a gamjan. If any points scored, they're invalidated. Regardless if there's contact or not, but the intent was to kick the back of the head, then the gamjan is given. This usually happens when there's some sort of holding or grabbing or crossing of the opponent's the arms to the opponent's body. So again, if the intent is clearly to attack the back of the head, then it's a gamjan. For misconduct, not complying with the referee's commands, any inappropriate protesting or criticizing of the official's decision, attempting to disturb or influence the outcome of the match, provoking or insulting the opponents or the coach, or if there is any unaccredited doctor accompanying the coach to the field of play, or lastly, any undesirable behavior or unsportsmanlike conduct, whether from the contestant or from the coach, then this is a gamjan for misconduct. If the prohibited act occurs after the referee declares kallyo, then the gamjan that can be given, there's only two cases: attack after kallyo or misconduct. Additionally, a center referee can give two gamjans only in these situations. Let's say, for example, I go in to do kallyo because I see there's grabbing. So I go in to stop to give the gamjan for grabbing. After the grabbing, and you see the kallyo, the player continues and kicks. So this is attack after kallyo. Only when there's an attack after kallyo or misconduct that the second gamjan can be given. So in this case, the first gamjan would be for grabbing, and the second gamjan would be given for attack after Kallyo. Any points scored after either one of those gamjans would be invalidated. So one more time, the only time a second gamjan can be given is when there is an attack after Kallyo or misconduct. This is part of our new rules as well. When misconduct is committed by a contestant or coach during the rest period, so in between rounds, and it's past the 5 seconds of the conclusion of the round, the gamjan will go to the upcoming round. But if the action is within 5 seconds of the conclusion of the previous round, then the gamjan will go to the previous round. This is important to be aware because this can change the outcome of the round winner. If a gamjan is given after the end of the round and it goes to the previous round, it could make a difference. So please be aware. Kishi and pretending injury. If the contestant requires medical treatment, then the center referee will call the doctor, and when he or she arrives, the center referee will switch the time to Kishi for 1 minute. If the doctor says, yes, the contestant is ready to continue, but maybe they need additional time because they need to stop the bleeding or finish taping, then 1 more minute can be awarded. This is only if the doctor says that yes, the contestant can continue, but they just need a little more time to finish cleaning up or taping. If the center referee is not sure that a contestant is pretending injury or not, the center referee can use their own card to check to see if the player is pretending injury. For example, let's say there is a punch and the player grabs their head and goes down. And the center referee is not sure, they think maybe it was the body. They will use their IVR card to request video replay to see if they're pretending injury or not. If a player is pretending injury, they will receive the gamjan for falling down, if there was a falling down, and a second gamjan for misconduct. Video replay. Coaches are given 1 video replay card per each contest. Coaches must request video replay within 5 seconds of the action. This is important. If coaches wait too long, then it will be rejected. So again, within 5 seconds of the action, a coach must stand up to request video replay. Only 1 action can be requested. And coaches must speak only English when requesting video replay. You may use body language to assist in communication. So for example, you can say no gamjan or no gamjan for grabbing. Opponent was pushing. Whatever you want to communicate and you want to use body language, it's acceptable. The decision of the review jury is final. So that means once a situation has been reviewed, no further review will be done. The review jury accepts a request when it can be clearly seen on the video. If there's a technical problem, let's say for example, there was no recording available, then the request will be rejected, but the review card will be given back to the coach. Here's a quick glance at some of the things that coaches can request for IVR. For your own player, you can request when there's a punch misidentification. For example, your player does a clear punch. He's the only one that punched, but the point went to the opponent. So this is a time that you could request punch misidentification. Or perhaps when clear punch only by 1 player and the judges pushed for the punch point, but they missed the scoring window. Maybe one judge was a little bit quicker and the other one was a little bit slower and it didn't register. But you see, as a coach, you see the lights. This also would be punch misidentification. but this only applies when only one player punched. If they both punch, it does not. Technical points. Anytime your player does do a turning kick and points scored, but the technical points, the additional 2 points, did not get awarded, you can request for the 2 additional technical points. Part of our new rules, now coaches can request head kick. And anytime you feel like there was impact from a kick to the head, then you can request for a head kick. For the review jury, what we're looking for is if there was any contact with a permitted technique, meaning any part of the foot below the ankle bone to the scoring area, which is from the bottom of the chin strap and up. That's what we're looking for, as long as there was contact with permitted technique to the scoring area. Any gamjan that's given to your player, then you can request for the invalidation of that gamjan. If any points were invalidated with that gamjan, you may also request to have those points reinstated. Or you could also request for points to be reinstated because they were scored before the gamjan action. So maybe scored 2 points and then there was grabbing. So you say, okay, grabbing's okay, but the 2 points were before. Then you can request for these points to be restored. For the opponent, you can only ask for 4 gamjans. Number 1 is for falling down. If you believe the opponent fall down, then you can request for gamjan for the opponent. Crossing the boundary line, attack after Kallyo, or attacking the fallen opponent. And of course, any points that were scored because of that gamjan, then they would be invalidated. You can also request invalidation of technical points. So if you believe that there was a kick that was turning kick, but that one didn't score, maybe it was the following one that scored, but the judges pressed for technical points and it registered as a turning kick, you can request invalidation of technical points for the opponent so we can review to see which kick is the one that should be or invalidate those technical points. Lastly, invalidation of points. So if the opponent was given a gamjan, let's say for grabbing, and then 2 points scored, but the referee did not invalidate those points, you can request for the invalidation of points because the gamjan was given. And then any technical issues. Anytime there's technical issues, you may use your card to request to check this. So starting off with testing the PSS. If you believe that the system's not working, you can request to do a quick test. If this is done in the first round or second round, the central referee will use their own card. But if this is requested, the third round, we use the coach's card, and if the system's working properly, a gamjan will be given for misconduct, and the request is rejected. Phantom points. If you see that there are any phantom points, meaning there was no kick, no action, but points came up, then you can request this to be reviewed. Any time issues, so maybe there was action, referee stopped, and then the time didn't stop. Computer operator didn't stop it in time. You believe 5-6 seconds passed, you can ask that there was a time issue. Or scoreboard entry. Maybe gamjan was given to the opponent, but it was entered into your player instead. So you can request for this as well. After the IVR request, the review jury, once they have checked, they will give either an accept signal or a rejected signal. This is for you to know if your request was accepted or rejected. And that brings us to the end. Thank you so much for participating today, and I look forward to seeing you at another event.